If you follow the portable emulation scene as closely as I do, there's a good chance you're feeling kind of like me, a little burned out. Like all of these devices kind of look the same and perform the same. They all do the same things, they run the same games. Yeah, I say this because this right here is the first device I use in a long time that makes me go, huh, this is pretty good. And it's very different from the other offerings I see in the market right now. This is Anbernic's RG351V. Bit of a mouthful, these things tend to be. It's a very competent portable emulation machine that does things in a way that I kind of wish were the standard for a lot of these devices out there. Let's take a closer look. So this is the RG351V by Anbernic. Now, the first thing that you'll notice is that wood grain. Now, personally, between you and I, also, you see this? You're gonna be able to tell how many times I screw up exactly because this is poor setting right here. This is gonna give away how many times I f up in these videos. Anyway, back to the thing here. So the wood grain, not a fan, though, you know, come to think of it, so many of these portable emulation devices are, I'll prove my point here, give me a second. They are all very reminiscent of that Game Boy look, right? So though I'm not a fan of the wood grain, it's retro in a way that isn't really my vibe. Maybe it'll grow on me. I'm trying to keep an open mind. So taking a look at the body of the device here, on the left-hand side you have volume buttons here. Like I mentioned in a previous video, I love it when these devices have physical buttons. They typically have a combination of keys that will get to the same result, but I like having a physical button that you can just go right there, press it, and no hassle, no need to remember certain commands or anything like that. At the top, nothing here, aside from those little notches that simulate the Game Boy look. I like that. Still on the top, you have R1, R2, L1, and L2. On the side here, on and off switch that also doubles as a sleep button, something that is sorely missing in a lot of these devices. On the side here, the on-off switch, which also doubles as a sleep button. I've mentioned here many times, a lot of these devices, for inexplicable reasons, don't have a dedicated sleep button, which is a bummer because if you want to bust this out, play a game quickly, and then put it back in your pocket, some of these you have to turn off entirely. We've become so accustomed to cell phones where you can just press a button and have it go to sleep and then press the button again to wake it up, that this seems like an oversight for a lot of these devices that don't have it. I am very appreciative of the fact that this button is here. However, it should be pointed out that, as you see, I'm finding that it seems to be like on first press it doesn't do anything, and then on the second one it actually works. I'm not sure if this is a quirk of the device that you're supposed to, and I think I just turned it off. Yeah, I think I just turned it off accidentally. So as you can tell, not as straightforward as the on-off sleep switch on a cell phone, but still very much appreciated, the fact that it's there. I just wish it worked more reliably. Sometimes, as you saw there, I'll press the button, nothing will happen. I'll press the second time, and then it'll go to sleep. It's a little bit annoying, but again, I'm glad that the function is there. Now that I turn this thing back on, let's take a look at the devices that it emulates. So first off, you have Nintendo DS, which is not something I would recommend on a device like this. Without a touchscreen, it's like, I think it's kind of fun that it can run DS games. I would never play a DS game on this thing. And not only because I happen to have multiple DSs, it's just, this is not a device meant for that. So I'm just gonna skip over that. I would never recommend a device like this to run a system that requires two screens, one of which is a touchscreen. This is not a touchscreen. So you have Final Burn Neo here. Not something I'm very experienced with, so I'm just gonna skip over it as well. You have MAME, so arcade games here, CPS 1, CPS 2, CPS 3, MSX, PC Engine, the Famicom or the Japanese NES, the North American NES, Game Boy, now we're in my wheelhouse, Super Famicom, and then Super Nintendo, which is basically Super Famicom is the Japanese SNES, for those who don't know. You have N64, really good. Although, again, the control scheme here is not going to be perfect for a system like N64, but I'm still glad that it's included. You have Game Boy Color, Game Boy Advance, the Sega Genesis or Mega Drive, the Game Gear, the Mega Drive. Again, so the way this works is Sega Genesis is how the Mega Drive was known in North America, essentially, and Mega Drive is as it was known throughout the world. That's what I grew up on. In Brazil, we called it the Mega Drive. Dreamcast, really exciting. Neo Geo Pocket, Neo Geo Pocket Color, PlayStation, and PSP. Now, one thing I have to point out, I was very, very surprised at the quality of the emulation for the PSP on this device. I realize now I didn't go over all of the buttons. I'm just so excited about this thing. So on-off switch, right? You have the reset button, so self-explanatory, and you have two SD cards here. One SD card, this one on the top right here, houses the actual operating system. The bottom one is where the games are. So if you want to put new games in the system, you're just going to pop this thing out, put it into your computer, and then navigate through the folders and drag and drop the ROMs right there. Relatively straightforward, even if you don't understand a lot about these things. At the front here, you have a D-pad. It's actually pretty good, not too much. It's a little bit mushy as these tend to be, but it's actually pretty good compared to some of the other offerings. Obviously, it doesn't come close to like an actual D-pad on Nintendo hardware. It's like just right. It's like clicky and it's mushy in the right, you know, this is good, don't get me wrong. It's just my tolerance for D-pad sensitivity is like, I'm very nitpicky with that. Not bad by any means. You have an analog stick which clicks, which is something that a lot of these portable devices don't do. You have a function key, start and select buttons, and the face buttons, and they're oriented, as you'd expect, following the Nintendo layout, where X is here at the top and B is at the bottom. Speaking of the bottom, here at the bottom you have two USB-C ports and a headphone jack. And at the back, very nondescript. You have the brand name here and some regulatory information, and you can see here the shoulder buttons with more detail. So overall, nice size and weight. This has that, it fits that like nice little sweet spot where it's not too heavy, but it's heavy enough for you to feel like it's a premium product. Those who handle a lot of these portable devices know exactly what I'm talking about. Some of these, I have one right here. I'm not sure where it is. My house is just like complete, let me go get it, wait a second. This is the last device I reviewed, the Powkiddy Q20 Mini. And it's a nice little device, but it has some of the problems that I've come to expect from these Chinese emulation machines. Namely, they're all really similar. They all use the same operating system based on OpenDingux. It's, you know, it's a little, if you have a lot of these, like it's my case, it's hard to get excited about one of these, right? I showcase them because this might be the very first one that you're seeing, so I try to go over all the details and how to operate the system, what systems it runs, and all those things. But for somebody like me, it takes a little more for it to become your dedicated playing machine, right? So this has that potential from what I've seen so far. Now, this is just kind of like a quick hands-on video. I want to do a more in-depth, deeper dive, a full review of all the systems it runs. But what I can tell you from like first blush and just like turning it on and fiddling with it and seeing how well some of the systems are emulated on this, I go right for PSP for two reasons. A lot of these smaller machines don't emulate PSP. If I want to emulate PSP, well, I have my own. I have multiple PSPs, in fact. But if I want to play on something that offers me more versatility, on something that doesn't run, you know, primarily PSP games, sometimes you just want to play with something new. So I went to check out PSP emulation because when I ditch my PSP Go, which, as you guys know, it's still my go-to emulation machine, at like bare minimum, whatever I use to replace it has to run PSP and it has to run well, which is a little tricky. A lot of these Android devices that we have. Even the GPD-XT, it doesn't run all PSP games so smoothly, right? So I was very surprised here. Let me go here. A is the, here we go. So you have the games here. Now, the presentation of this emulation machine, the system it runs is called EmuElec, which I'm not familiar with. This is the first time I'm using it. And I love the fact that the way they do it is you have the ROMs in the card, and then you have a folder with these images here. So it'll show, I'm going to bring it a little bit closer so you can see the details. It'll show a screenshot and the box art. Some of them are missing, obviously, and you can go in and find your own images and replace that. But some of them do have it. For PSP, for some reason, it doesn't come with a whole bunch, but you know, Loco Roco has it. Mega Man Maverick Hunter X has it. Mega Man Powered Up also has it. So this adds that. I just love it. It doesn't affect your experience when it comes to gameplay, right? But this just feels so nice. And in some games, not the case here with my PSP selection in the system. Let me go back here. When you go into Super Nintendo, some of the games have even a little playthrough. Let me show here. So let's see, Super Nintendo. I found a few. So let me go here. So the list is long because it comes with a bunch of preloaded games, right? Also, I am very proud to mention, you might have seen that the Brazilian flag there. Apparently, the people behind this system, Emulec, or at least the people who developed the art for it, the graphic assets for it, are Brazilian. So I'm very proud of that. So if I select here, let's see, I think Aladdin here. So Aladdin, you have the box, you have the screenshot, and then after a while, you actually have gameplay. I love this. I've seen this in some other devices. Where's the volume? So that is really neat. I like that quite a bit. So going back to PSP, and now one thing that I'm finding interesting, the volume switch, if you press and hold, that becomes your brightness switch, which is, you know, could be confusing to some. I find it kind of ingenious because you're saving space. You don't have two dedicated rockers, right? So like press and hold here, and brightness will go up. And there's other shortcuts for brightness and volume as well. But I do appreciate the physical button. So let me go back here to PSP again. I want to show you a quick gameplay of a PSP game because, like I mentioned, PSP titles are notoriously hard to emulate on these small machines. So let's see here, Mega Man Maverick Hunter X, which is a game that I've always had a bit of a hard time running full speed. Now, the emulator is set to, let me load my game here. The emulator is out of the box set to frame skip to 1. I found a little jerky, so I just turned it off, and it's buttery smooth. Let me go back here. Oh, I think I pressed the wrong button here. So there we go, load state. So here we go. So I'm gonna just show a little bit here. This is the first. Oh crap, that was unwise. Let's try that again. Also, I do believe it has rewind. Not on this emulator, but on a lot of the other ones I've tried. Let's load that again. Oh. Okay. I'm not sure if you can tell there from, you know, looking through the screen. I'm gonna try to have it in the center of the frame here. It's remarkably smooth for a PSP emulator. Like I said, I'm used to trying to run these on Android devices, and some pretty decently, some have pretty decent specs, and it doesn't run as smoothly as I'm seeing here. This game does have a few slowdowns that you would find even on original hardware. Just to be mindful of that. But yeah, this is definitely a better experience than I'm used to, even on my GPD-XD, which is saying a lot. Because the GPD-XD is kind of like my gold standard when it comes to portable emulators. This thing is really, really remarkable that it runs PSP this well, especially on a title that I've had trouble emulating on other devices. Now, this is being a little harder than I remember. I'm wondering if this is some kind of modded version. I don't remember even those enemies there. Maybe I haven't played it in a long time, but those enemies look a little bit different from what I remembered. Anyway, this is, like I said, just a quick hands-on. I wanted to share my thoughts on this right out of the box without having tinkered with much other than turning off the frame skip for the PSP emulator. But I'm very impressed with this. Like I said, I've had so many of these things. I own so many of them. I've tried so many of them over the years. I follow the news closely when they're coming up with new ones. It's hard to impress somebody in my position that basically has all of them at their disposal. And this, I can tell you, is a strong contender for my actual go-to emulation device. So stay tuned for a full review where I'm going to go into all of the system and emulates, all the strong points, all the weak points. But so far, my impression is overwhelmingly positive. I'm pretty happy with this thing. I'm going to be putting a lot of time into this, and check back in about a week or so for a full in-depth review of Ambernick's RG351V. If you're already interested in picking this up for yourself, and I can tell you from my, about 3 hours experience playing with this thing, this is worth it. Like, this is the thing that I'm going to be carrying in my pocket, in my bag for the next couple of weeks. I'll include a link in the description where you can check it out. But yeah, if there are any other devices you'd like to see featured here on the channel, let me know. Follow me on social media if you don't already. I'm very active on both Twitter and Instagram. And that's all the time I have for today. I'm Izzy, and I'm done.